Vimes listened while the conversation droned on in Dwarfish. Carrot seemed to be winning, but it was a near thing. The clan was giving in not because of reason or in obedience to the law, but because it was Carrot who was asking. Finally, the corporal looked up. He was sitting on a dwarf stool, so his knees practically framed his head. You have to understand, you see, that a dwarf's workshop is very important. Right, said Vimes. I understand. And, you're a bigger. Sorry? A bigger. Bigger than a dwarf. Ah. The inside of a dwarf's workshop is like... Well, it's like the inside of his clothes, if you know what I mean. They say you can look, if I'm with you, but you mustn't touch anything. They're not very happy about this, Captain. A dwarf who was possibly Mrs. Hammerhawk produced a bunch of keys. I've always got on well with dwarfs, said Vimes. They're not happy, sir. They don't think we'll do any good. We'll do our best. I didn't translate that properly. They don't think we're any good. They don't mean to be offensive, sir. They just don't think we'll be allowed to get anywhere, sir. Shortly afterwards... Ow! Sorry about that, Captain, said Carrot, who was walking like an inverted L. After you. Mind your head on the... Ow! Perhaps it'd be best if you sat down and I'll look around. The workshop was long and, of course, low, with another small door at the far end. There was a big workbench under a skylight. On the opposite wall was a forge, and a tool rack, and a hole. A chunk of plaster had fallen away a few feet above the ground, and cracks radiated away from the shattered brickwork underneath. Vimes pinched the bridge of his nose. He hadn't found time to sleep today. That was another thing. He'd have to get used to sleeping when it was dark. He couldn't remember when he'd last slept at night. He sniffed. I can smell fireworks, he said. Could be from the forge, said Carrot. Anyway, trolls and dwarves have been letting fireworks off all over the city. Vimes nodded. All right, he said. So what can we see? Someone thumped the wall pretty hard just here, said Carrot. Could have happened at any time, said Vimes. No, sir, because there's the plaster dust underneath, and a dwarf always keeps his workshop clean. Really? There were various weapons, some of them half-finished, on racks by the bench. Vimes picked up most of a crossbow. He did good work, he said. Very good at mechanics. Well known for it, said Carrot, poking around aimlessly on the bench. A very delicate hand. He made musical boxes for a hobby. Could never resist a mechanical challenge. What are we looking for actually, sir? Not sure. Now this is good. It was a war axe, and so heavy that Vimes' arm sagged. Intricate etched lines covered the blade. It must have represented weeks of work. Not your actual Saturday night special, eh? Oh no, said Carrot. That's a burial weapon. I should think it is. I mean, it's meant to be buried with a dwarf. Every dwarf is buried with a weapon, you know? To take with him to wherever he's going. But it's fine workmanship, and it's got an edge like... Ah! Vimes sucked his finger. Like a razor. Carrot looked shocked. Of course. It'd be no good him facing them with an inferior weapon. What them are you talking about? Anything bad he encounters on his journey after death, said Carrot, a shade awkwardly. Ah. Vimes hesitated. This was an area he did not feel comfortable. It's an ancient tradition, said Carrot. I thought dwarves didn't believe in devils and demons and stuff like that. That's true, but we're not sure if they know. Oh. Vimes laid down the axe and picked up something else from the work rack. It was a knight in armor, almost 9 inches high. There was a key in its back. He turned it, and nearly dropped the thing when the figure's legs started to move. He put it down, and it began to march stiffly across the floor, waving its sword. Moves a bit like Colin, don't it? Said Vimes. Clockwork? It's the coming thing, said Carrot. Mr. Hammerhawk was good at that. Vimes nodded. We're looking for anything that shouldn't be here, he said. Or something that should be, and isn't. Is there anything missing? Hard to say, sir. It isn't here. What? Anything that's missing, sir, said Carrot conscientiously. I mean, said Vimes patiently. Anything not here which you'd expect to find. Well, he had all the usual tools, sir. Nice ones, too. Shame, really. What is? They'll be melted down, of course. Vimes stared at the neat racks of hammers and files. Why? Can't some other dwarf use them? What? Use another dwarf's actual tools? Carrot's mouth twisted in distaste, as though someone had suggested he wear Corporal Nobb's old shorts. Oh, no, that's not right. I mean, they're part of him. I mean, someone else using them after he's used them all these years. I mean, Really? The clockwork soldier marched under the bench. It feel wrong, said Carrot. Yucky. Oh. Vimes stood up. Ow! Mind your head. Sorry. Rubbing his head with one hand, Vimes used the other to examine the hole in the plaster. There's something in here, he said. Pass me one of those chisels. There was silence. A chisel, please. If it makes you feel any better, we are trying to find out who killed Mr. Hammerhawk. All right? Carrot picked one up, but with considerable reluctance. This is Mr. Hammerhawk's chisel, this is, he said reproachfully. Corporal Carrot, will you stop being a dwarf for 2 seconds? You're a guard, and give me the damn chisel. It's been a long day. Thank you. Vimes prized at the brickwork, and a rough disc of lead dropped into his hand. Slingshot? Said Carrot. No room in here, said Vimes. Anyway, how the hell could it get this far into the wall? He slipped the disc into his pocket. That seems about it then, he said, straightening up. We'd better... fish out that clockwork soldier, will you? Better leave the place tidy. Carrot scrabbled in the darkness under the bench. There was a rustling noise. There's a piece of paper under here, sir. Carrot emerged, waving a small yellowing sheet. Vimes squinted at it. Looks like nonsense to me, he said eventually. It's not dwarfish, I know that. But these symbols, these things I've seen before. Or something like them. He passed the paper back to Carrot. What can you make out of it? Carrot frowned. I could make a hat, he said, or a boat, or some sort of chrysanthemum. I mean the symbols. These symbols, just here. Don't know, Captain. They do look familiar, though. Sort of like alchemist writing? Oh, no. Vimes put his hands over his eyes. Not the bloody alchemists. Oh, no, not that bloody gang of mad firework merchants. I can take the assassins, but not those idiots. No, please. What time is it? Carrot glanced at the hourglass on his belt. About 11:30, Captain. Then I'm off to bed. Those clowns can wait until tomorrow. You could make me a happy man by telling me this paper belonged to Hammerhawk. Doubt it, sir. Me too. Come on, let's go out through the back door. Carrot squeezed through. Mind your head, sir. Vimes, almost on his knees, stopped and stared at the doorframe. Well, Corporal, he said eventually, we know it wasn't a troll that did it, did we? 2 reasons. 1, a troll couldn't get through this door. It's dwarf-sized. What's the other reason, sir? Vimes carefully pulled something off a splinter on the low door lintel. The other reason, Carrot, is that trolls don't have hair. The couple of strands that had been caught in the grain of the beam were red and long. Someone had left them there inadvertently. Someone tall. Taller than a dwarf, anyway. Vimes peered at them. They looked more like threads than hair. Fine, red threads. Oh well, a clue was a clue. He carefully folded them up in a scrap of paper borrowed from Carrot's notebook and handed them to the corporal. Here, keep this safe. They crawled out into the night. There was a narrow plank walkway attached to the walls, and beyond that was the river. Vimes straightened up carefully. I don't like this, Carrot, he said. There's something bad underneath all this. Carrot looked down. I mean, there are hidden things happening, said Vimes patiently. Yes, sir. Let's get back to the yard. They proceeded to the brass bridge, quite slowly, because Carrot cheerfully acknowledged everyone they met. Hard-edged ruffians whose normal response to a remark from a watchman would be genteelly paraphrased by a string of symbols generally found on the top row of a typewriter's keyboard, would actually smile awkwardly and mumble something harmless in response to his hearty, "Good evening, Masher. Mind how you go." Vimes stopped halfway across the bridge to light his cigar, striking a match in one of the ornamental hippos. Then he looked down into the turbid waters. "Garrett?" "Yes, Captain?" "Do you think there's such a thing as a criminal mind?" Carrot almost audibly tried to work this out. "What, you mean like Mr. Cut-Me-Own-Throat Dibbler, sir?" "He's not a criminal." "You have eaten one of his pies, sir." "I mean, yes, but he's just geographically divergent in the financial hemisphere." "Sir?" "I mean, he just disagrees with other people about the position of things, like money. He thinks it should all be in his pocket. No, I meant—" Vimes closed his eyes and thought about cigar smoke and flowing drink and laconic voices. There were people who'd steal money from people. Fair enough. That was just theft. But there were people who, with one easy word, would steal the humanity from people. That was something else. The point was, well, he didn't like dwarfs and trolls. But he didn't like anyone very much. The point was that he moved in their company every day, and he had a right to dislike them. The point was that no fat idiot had the right to say things like that. He stared at the water. One of the piles of the bridge was right below him. The axe sucked and gurgled around it. Debris, balks of timber, branches, rubbish, had piled up in a sort of sordid floating island. There was even fungus growing on it. What he could do with right now was a bottle of bear huggers. The world swam into focus when you looked at it through the bottom of a bottle. Something else swam into focus. Doctrine of signatures, thought Vimes. That's what the herbalists call it. It's like the gods put a "use me" label on plants. If a plant looks like a part of the body, it's good for ailments peculiar to that part. There's teethwort for teeth, spleenwort for spleens, eyebright for eyes. There's even a toadstool called Phallus imputicus, and I don't know what that's for, but Nobby is a big man for mushroom omelets. Now, either that fungus down there is exactly the medicine for hands, or— Vimes sighed. "Garrett, can you go and get a boathook, please?" Carrot followed his gaze. "Just to the left of that log, Carrot." "Oh no." "I'm afraid so. Hull it out, find out who he was, make out a report for Sergeant Colin." The corpse was a clown. Once Carrot had climbed down the pile and moved the debris aside, he floated face up, a big sad grin painted on his face. "He's dead." "Catching, isn't it?" Vimes looked at the grinning corpse. "Don't investigate. Keep out of it. Leave it to the assassins and bloody Quirk. These are your orders." "Corporal Carrot?" "Sir?" "These are your orders." Well, damn that. What did Vetinari think he was? Some kind of clockwork soldier? "We're going to find out what's been going on here." "Yes, sir." "Whatever else happens, we're going to find out."